He was supposed to be on that helicopter. He was supposed to be seated right next to the man who will never go back home. But at the very last second, something changed. One decision, one split-second choice separated life from death. And now, the only man who walked away from what should have been his final journey is breaking his silence, revealing the chilling final hours of MP Johana Ng'eno, what he saw that morning, what the pilot did that raised questions, and the terrifying moments he realized everyone on board was gone.
Mimi kwangu nimepoteza rafiki. Nimelia machozi yote, nimefanya kila kitu. Sijui kama nitapona sahi, but all I know is Mungu ni mwema. Tungekuwa tumepata maybe nafasi kwa hiyo ndege, kuna mambo mawili, maybe wangepata ajali tungekuja Eldoret.
This is one of the most haunting survival stories to emerge from the Kenyan aviation in recent memory. Engineer Kipchirchir Mosonik, a close associate of the Emurua Dikir Member of Parliament Johana Ng'eno, was right there. He flew in the same helicopter earlier on that day. He sat with the MP, he laughed with him, he watched the man smile, wave at his supporters, and go about his business as though it were any other Saturday. But it was not any other Saturday. By the time the sun set, the helicopter had fallen from the sky, and the lives of those on board were lost forever. But Mosonik, against all odds, was not among them. He had stepped away, he had chosen the road, and that single seemingly mundane decision is the only reason he is still alive to tell his story today.
Jana, at around, I guess it was around 11:50 to 12. Nilipata that message wakaniambia uko wapi, the camera guy. I can text to message uko wapi. Kaambia niko Eldoret. Tunaenda Mount Elgon. Nikaambia Elina. Kaniambia sahi na ni leo. Then from there nikaambia sawa mkakuja, uniambia kaniambia sawa tunangoja chopa ikifika nitakushtua tukitoka.
But here is what makes this even more unsettling. Stay with me on this because what Mosonik reveals about the pilot's behavior that day changes everything we thought we knew about this crash, but we will get to that in a moment.
Kumbe mheshimiwa aliposikia chopa akatoka tu. Wakatoka na ile timu yote, wakakuja kwenye chopa iko. Sisi kufika tunampata akienda kwa chopa. Then tukakuja wote kwa chopa tu hapo, wakapanda vitu vyao kila mtu. Tukasema acha tumwambie tu bye waende tu nini and then tutalink up. Mheshimiwa na kwa assistant akatuongelesha, akatusalimia vizuri, he was so smiling, hakuwa na maneno. Akatuambia sababu nyinyi mnaenda Eldoret na hii weather tunaona venye iko, acha tuende nyumbani. Sababu hii ndege inaenda pia Nairobi. Nyinyi mtafuta gari, mnaweza hata ongelesha honorable Bukose sababu alikuwa hapo. Tukaomba gari ya Bukose ikatuleta mpaka Kitale. Kufika Kitale tuka wa late lunch. Tukimaliza tu lunch even ndio sasa the information ikaanza kutukujia.
Now let us go back to the beginning, not the crash, not the aftermath, the morning, because what happened in those early hours paints a picture so normal, so ordinary, that it makes the tragedy that followed even harder to comprehend. It was Saturday morning, the kind of morning that begins with purpose and routine. Engineer Kipchirchir Mosonik received word that the helicopter would be picking them up from Eldoret. This was not unusual. Mosonik, as a close associate of the MP, had traveled with Ng'eno on numerous occasions. Helicopter travel was part of the rhythm of political life, especially for a constituency MP covering vast distances between engagements across the Rift Valley. The helicopter arrived, Mosonik boarded, and seated beside him was the Honorable Johana Ngeno himself. According to Mosonik's own account, the MP was in a remarkably high spirits that morning. There was no tension, no worry, no sense of foreboding. Ng'eno was cheerful, talkative, and fully engaged. He spoke about the day's schedule, he discussed the events that they were attending, and he interacted with those around him with the kind of warmth and energy that his supporters had come to expect. Mosonik described the mood as completely normal. There was laughter, there was casual conversations, there was the hum of the rotors above them, and a familiar vibration of the aircraft beneath their seats. It was, by every measure, just another flight. And this is the part that haunts Mosonik the most, because in hindsight, nothing about that morning gave any warning, nothing whispered danger, nothing suggested that within hours, that same aircraft would become a coffin in the sky. But hold on, because what Mosonik noticed about the pilot during these flights is something investigators are now paying very close attention to, and we're about to get into that. But first, let us talk about the decision that saved his life. This is the moment, the pivot point, the fork in the road, literally and figuratively, that separated Kipchirchir Mosonik from certain death. After completing their morning engagements, it came time for the final leg of the journey. The helicopter was preparing to depart once more, carrying the MP and others back through their scheduled routine. Mosonik, who had been on board for the earlier flights that day, now faced a choice, and here is where fate intervened. According to Mosonik's own testimony, everything happened so fast. When he approached the helicopter for the return journey, it was already packed fully. There was simply no room. The aircraft was at capacity, and the window to board had closed before he could secure a seat. Now, pause on that for a moment. Mosonik made the only decision available to him. He will travel by road instead. He joined the MP's personal assistant, and together they set off by car, heading first to Kitale and then onward to Eldoret, a longer journey, certainly a less convenient one, but a journey that would end with him walking away alive. He did not know it then, he could not have known, but as that helicopter lifted off and grew smaller against the sky, he was watching the final flight of everyone on board. The weight of that realization, when it finally came, is something Mosonik has described with visible emotion. The guilt of surviving, the disbelief, the replaying of that moment over and over again in his mind. What if there had been one more seat? What if he had arrived 30 seconds earlier? Or what if he had insisted on boarding? These are the questions that haunt survivors, and Mosonik is no exception. But the story doesn't end here, because what Mosonik observed earlier that day, specifically about the pilot's behavior, has added a deeply troubling layer to this already devastating tragedy, and that is exactly what we need to talk about next. Now, this is where the account takes a darker turn, and I need you to pay very close attention, because what Mosonik revealed about the pilot could reshape the entire narrative of this investigation. According to Engineer Mosonik, the pilot appeared to be in a hurry throughout the day, not just busy, not just efficient, in a hurry. There was a noticeable sense of urgency, a time pressure that seemed to influence the pace of everything, from takeoffs to landing, to the transitions between flights. Now, let us be very clear about what Mosonik did and did not say. He stated plainly that he did not observe any mechanical problems with the helicopter during the flights he took. The aircraft seemed to function properly during the morning journeys. There were no unusual sounds, no warning lights, no erratic movements that would cause alarm from a passenger's perspective. But the pilot's demeanor, that is a different matter entirely. In aviation, the time pressure is one of the most well-documented contributing factors to accidents. When pilots feel rushed, when schedules are tight, when there is an exception to move quickly between destinations, the margin for error shrinks dramatically. Decisions that might normally receive careful consideration are met in haste. Safety checks that should never be abbreviated may be shortened, and the mental bandwidth available for critical judgment becomes dangerously narrow. Mosonik did not speculate on whether the pilot's apparent hurry directly contributed to the crash. He is not an aviation expert, and he was careful not to overstate what he observed. But the fact that he noticed it, that it was significant enough for him to remember and report. Investigators from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority and other relevant bodies are now examining every detail of that flight. The aircraft's maintenance records, the pilot's flight hours and rest periods, the weather conditions along the route, the weight and balance of the helicopter, and the time of the crash, and yes, the testimony of the witnesses like Mosonik, who were close enough to see what was happening, but fortunate enough not to be on board when it all went wrong. The helicopter went down, and when the news broke, it broke the hearts of an entire nation. Details of the crash itself emerged in fragments, each one more painful than the last. The aircraft had gone down in a manner that left little hope for those on board. Back in Emurua Dikir, the news landed like a bomb. Constituents who had seen their MP just hours earlier, vibrant and full of life, now had to grapple with the reality that he was gone. Women wailed in the streets, men stood in stunned silence, and children who had grown up seeing Ng'eno at community events asked questions that no parent should ever have to answer. Engineer Kipchirchir Mosonik did not just survive a helicopter crash, he survived the absence of one. He survived because he was not there, and in many ways that is a burden on its own. Survivor's guilt is a well-documented phenomena, and Mosonik's account carries all the hallmarks of a man wrestling with a question that has no satisfying answer. Why him? Why was he the one left behind? Why was the helicopter full at the exact moment that he tried to board? He has described the experience as something that replays in his mind constantly: the normalcy of that morning, the laughter of the MP, the hum of the rotors, and the silence that followed the news, a silence that no amount of time can ever fill. Mosonik's testimony is not just a piece of evidence in an investigation, it is a human document. As the investigation continues, as the nation seeks answers and accountability, let us not forget the human cost. Let us not forget Johana Ng'eno, a man who served his people with passion and fire. Let us not forget those who perished beside him, and let us not forget Kipchirchir Mosonik, the man who lived and now carries the sacred and painful duty of telling the world what those final hours truly looked like. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it made you feel something, then share it, because these stories deserve to be shared. These lives deserve to be remembered, and the question raised by this tragedy deserves all the answers. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and stay with us, because the truth behind this crash is still unfolding, and we will be here to bring you every detail as it emerges. Rest in peace, Honorable Johana Ng'eno. Kenya will not forget you.